Hey, what is up guys? Welcome back to the channel and welcome back to Gran Turismo 7. So it's that time of the month I do my updated wish list for Gran Turismo 7. Hopefully, giving some thoughts and, kind of getting a discussion going about the current state of the game. So it's a little bit different this time around. Obviously, we're coming off the back of the biggest Gran Turismo 7 update ever with 1.40 or Spec 2, meaning that we're probably going to see a much smaller update overall for GT7 in December or January, whenever this next update chooses to roll out. And now I'm going to kind of assume it'll be more December, mainly because of the whole, I guess, World Series finals and the whole, teasers with the cars and the reveals coming up and such. So again, I'm going to say this is probably going to come more December, and I'm going to give you my updated wish list. Now let's start off with the, I guess, main one that I think most people will probably be asking for at this point, a real world track. Obviously, it's been a while since we've actually seen a real world track. I think the last one was Road Atlanta way back in November of 2022. So it's been over a year at this point that we've not really seen a new addition in terms of real world tracks to Gran Turismo 7. Both that have come in 2023 have been obviously original tracks. So we've had a revamp of Grand Valley with Grand Valley Highway 1, and then we obviously had the snow track itself, Lake Louise, which came along with update 1.40. Now I definitely feel like we are long overdue another real world track coming to the game. I think it would definitely be, very nice to coexist with the likes of Lake Louise coming in November, that we start seeing the real world tracks come in. Obviously, like I said, it's been over a year since we've had a real world track, and there is so much potential in terms of tracks that Polyphony could bring to the game. Whilst we do have the likes of Le Mans, the Nordschleife and all that kind of good stuff, there's a few iconic tracks that still feel a little bit missing, and hopefully we start seeing them kind of come in either this next update or maybe into the future. Again, these things take time and I fully understand that, but hopefully Lake Louise wasn't the only track that Polyphony have been working on, and we can start seeing some more of those, real world tarmac tracks come to the game. So that is going to be up first on my wish list. So let's move in to point number 2, and this is one that's kind of been bugging me for the longest time. So PSVR 2 came alongside the February update. It was a whole big deal. It was absolutely incredible. It really gave the game a whole new perspective, like it should. It really is perhaps the best PSVR 2 game still, all these months later, and it really just can't be matched in terms of the immersion that it gives you. However, it's definitely not perfect. In my opinion, this definitely needs a, HUD update. There is a few really annoying features about VR that really kind of get missed, and I really want to see them put into the game. The likes of being able to check fastest laps, leaderboards and all that kind of stuff, and have a bit more customization to our VR experience. Again, whilst we can do the likes of fuel and stuff and, flick through them by looking over to our left and all that kind of stuff, I definitely feel like the inclusion of leaderboards and stuff like that, and just getting a bit of an update to this VR mode would be absolutely incredible. Again, it spans the entirety of the game other than split screen, so to see it get updated and be a thing that Polyphony focus on going into the future, as I honestly do think there is a big future for Gran Turismo and VR compatibility, seeing it get updated would be a massive thing, and I would absolutely love to see a bit of HUD customization and a bit of a change up to what we can sort of see on screen and such whilst in PSVR 2. Okay, next up is going to be a bit of a double point. This is something that I would have really expected to be kind of gone with, or at least changed up with Spec 2, but it got completely overlooked. And I know this is perhaps the most, I guess, requested thing in terms of what players want changing within GT7. So I'm going to put both of these in the same category because I feel like they've been very commonplace problems, and I fully agree that they're very frustrating. Roulette Ticket and the system that we have in place is just really not too great, and something that I hope to see change going through into the future. It's always been a problem since day one. It's just not a very rewarding thing, and whilst okay, the daily mileage is relatively low, I still think the majority of the rewards, just because they're so rigged and against the player, that it's just a completely pointless and frustrating feature. All it'll need is a few changes and a few updates to actually feel like it's rewarding the player, and you're probably going to see a lot more people jump in daily, you know, anticipating better rewards. Again, whilst it does scale slightly with your level, giving you a percentage chance of a better ticket, the majority of the time you're just going to end up with 3-star, 4-star tickets, all rewarding anything from, you know, 5,000 credits up to, you know, 20,000 credits. Pretty minuscule rewards. You know, it's definitely something that feels like it just needs a massive overhaul at this point. You know, it's been around since day one. It's something that's just frustrated plenty of players and really does need a massive shake-up, especially the whole landing in the top left constantly, always being predetermined. Just go away with that, make it completely randomized, improve the rewards themselves, and make it actually feel worthwhile for a player to jump in each and every day and receive at least a bit of a reward for actually jumping on every day and, you know, obviously, you know, collecting these rewards. So your roulette changes definitely needed, and that's going to then bring me into car invites themselves. They feel very out of place at this point in GT7's life cycle. You know, there's been players that may have not seen one of the invitations ever. You know, there's a possibility that even if they did get it, they might not have been able to afford it. But my main issue with it doesn't really stem from that. You know, my main issue is they open these up as a sorry to players when the game first went completely kaput when it first released and the servers went down and stuff, and they were kind of opened up for an entire month. Now, the main thing is they've proven that they can get rid of them, but they still haven't, and that's then going to lead me into the fact that we've got the likes of the Bugatti Chiron, which is openly buyable, same with the Aston Martin Valkyrie, but things like the Vulcan and the Veyron still end up locked behind this annoying invite system, which again then relies on the roulette system itself, which majority of the times gives out absolutely pointless and terrible rewards, meaning that again a lot of players are going to be missing these last few vehicles because they're completely locked away behind a completely randomized system. It's something that I never liked. It's the reason that I never really liked the engine swaps to begin with, and obviously they became buyable, so there's no reason why these features need to be still in the game. Again, at this point in GT7's life cycle, it just seems completely out of place and completely backwards that these continue to be in the game. Okay, now I'm going to cater to the players that mainly play sport mode and all that kind of stuff. I get for a lot of players this would also be something that we may want, but race cars. This is definitely something that I feel like Polyphony's kind of dropped away from, especially a lot of this year. Whilst we have seen the addition of the Mercedes-AMG GT3 in its 2020 form, obviously towards the end of last year we saw the updated facelifted version of the Nissan GTR from 2018, and obviously most recently the Group 4 Mazda 3. I definitely feel like we need more real world race cars, you know, some more updated models. Again, it's always awkward for me to sit there and watch the World Series and see such outdated car models kind of racing around. I would love to see some more up-to-date models, even if they have to go maybe down a bit of the fantasy route that some of these models do have. I think things like the Corvette are the most obvious, where it's clearly there to resemble the likes of a GTE or GT3, whatever you want to call it, but it has a few slight changes so that it kind of looks very similar, but it isn't exactly that model. Again, I would love to see some of the more up-to-date race models in the game, so we can really see this shake up and get some more updated models, especially for events as big as the World Finals. This is one of the biggest, I guess, esports events in the world. It's one that draws in many viewers because of obviously the backing behind it and the promotion from it. Again, just kind of seeing these older models just rolling around is a little bit awkward at times, and I would definitely love to see that roster updated going forward. So fully agree that race cars do need an update, and this is then going to move me into a completely different point, and I guess more towards the creative community of Gran Turismo 7. This is a community that, you know, again, maybe isn't as vocal as many others, but there is still a massive community behind it, especially with the likes of photo mode and stuff like that. So I'm actually going to mention two different points. I guess they do relate to two separate things. The first is actually rewarding livery creators. This was a point that was made in my previous community wish list, and to be honest, I just honestly fully agree. You know, rewarding creators for actually going out of their way to, you know, I guess make these liveries. There is some absolutely amazing work that goes on in the GT7 community, especially when it comes to liveries. There's been liveries that I've, you know, had on my car since day one of GT7 and never changed change them because they're just absolutely amazing. There is some major talent in these livery creators, and it really feels quite cheeky to kind of take the livery and then never ever really give back. The player's never rewarded for you know, the amount of likes they get or the downloads they get. Yes, okay, they might get put on a page or get put in the most popular users section, but I feel like, you know, rewarding them some of the money that we put out to get these decals on would be absolutely fantastic, and over time it would not only give them more incentive to keep going, but also, again, just it's kind of a little thank you from the players that are downloading these liveries and you know, using them on their vehicles. I definitely feel like this would be a much needed feature, and obviously gives back to these hard-working livery creators that, you know, in the background make all these cars look absolutely visually stunning, and really changes up the whole way a car can look and feel just by putting some decals and stickers on them. It's absolutely incredible. So definitely rewarding them is a big thing. Now, in terms of the second, I guess, creative thing that I'd love to see, I did mention that obviously the photo mode community is absolutely massive in GT7. There's people that really do take this stuff seriously. There's even, you know, I guess, photo mode photos out there that really do trick people into thinking these are real cars. I think one of the most recent ones was of a older generation Mitsubishi Evo with the Marlboro livery on, and you know, there's people out there thinking it was real, but it was actually, you know, if you look quite closely, Gran Turismo 7 photo mode. But in terms of a feature I'd love to see is actually more creative controls over the replays. Now, one of the things that Gran Turismo's always had going for it is absolutely visually stunning replays. There's some great angles in there. Again, we had obviously the addition of music replays, which can give you some very quirky camera angles, but I'd love to go on to see more things like maybe being able to bring up, you know, full leaderboards and stuff with Gran Turismo overlays to it and stuff to our replays, or maybe even things like, you know, slow motion control. So if we're doing an absolutely awesome overtake, or, you know, we're clattering one of the curbs, that we, you know, can get it in slow motion and really kind of, you know, edit to our heart's content and put together some awesome creative clips. So definitely for me personally, I would love to see more creative controls over replays, things like Gran Turismo overlays, slow motion, so on and so forth. And that's going to round up my wants, I guess, wish list, whatever you want to call it, for the next Gran Turismo 7 update and into the future. Now, as usual, I will be doing a community one, so if there's anything that you want to make note of and you want to see appear, you know, possibly appear in the video that I do on my community, then feel free to pop it in the comment section down below. I'll take as many of them as I can, try and avoid points that I've already made or individual cars. They're not really anything I'm going to talk about. Again, they're for a completely separate thing. So yeah, if you can come up with some great ideas that you'd love to see for GT7, then I'll probably happily include them sometime next week when I make my community edition of the update wish list. Thanks so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Take care, guys. Peace.